everybody, and welcome back. I am the Sovereign, and this is my court. Happy Black History Month. In the United States, it is a month where we appreciate all the contributions of the Black community to the development of the United States and the importance that the Black community has played to this country, because it is, even to this day, still very downplayed, people are still very unaware of the contributions of Black people because it's not taught in our schools. That's a whole nother conversation. And I wanna give a shout out to everybody who made it to my very first Zoom meeting. Yes, we met up in Zoom. I got to see you guys face to face. We got to chit chat and talk. It was great. If you're just like, wait, I missed that. Like, how did you didn't tell me? Like, first of all, I put it in the community tab. So if you're not subscribed, that's your fault. But the Zoom link was dropped into our Discord, because we do have a Discord, and I apologize I haven't been in the Discord. I have been sleepy and tired, and I don't know what's going on with my body, but the coffee is popping right now. It is popping. Yes, the Zoom link was put into the Discord where we all met up, and the next time we do have a Zoom, because we just had a Zoom. We just had our second Zoom. The third Zoom, I will let you guys know once again in the community tab. It will pop up on YouTube, but if you're not subscribed, you're not gonna know. So just letting you know. Okay, on with the video. But today, we are here to do the long-awaited video of cultural appreciation versus cultural appropriation, because some of you who truly want to do better, truly want to learn in a safe environment, maybe ask some questions to see where the line is, what should you be doing better, we're here to talk about it, and I'm going to do my very best. Do not worry. I'm not here to drag white people, okay? You guys are safe. I really do want you guys to know like where the line is and why you shouldn't be doing certain things. This is not just a conversation beholden to the Black community. It's not just about the Black community. This can be applied to all the cultures that people generally love to vulture off of. And in the United States, a lot of the cultures that people love to snatch from, besides the Black community, which is the #1 culture y'all love to get at, but the Indian community and the Japanese, look, Asians, the whole entire Asian community, I don't know what it is with people trying to just do things with them and their community. Same thing with Native Americans. They like to go after them too. It's just like, y'all gotta stop. So let's find out where the line is, okay? So what is appropriation, right? Because we have all heard that word thrown around, and people get very sensitive about that, word, or people accuse other people who call them appropriators or culture vultures. They're like, you're too sensitive about it. So we need to understand what appropriation actually is. Appropriation is the act of adopting recognizable, prominent aspects of a foreign culture for your own personal gain, whether it be to make people like you for a fashion statement because it's trendy, or to garner support. That is appropriating behavior, because you have no real personal connection or understanding to what you're taking. It's an act of exploitation, and it's disrespectful. Now, what does it mean to appreciate a culture, right? You want to appreciate and give praise to a culture you may be interested in without stepping on anybody's heritage. How do we do that? To appreciate a culture, #1, you have to understand the meaning, the purpose, and the use of whatever items or pieces of heritage that you are using. You have to be using it because you genuinely like it and you genuinely want to connect with it, and not be using it for special event or like a festival. Hey, Coachella. It's something that you would have no problem using or wearing or partaking in your everyday life in front of your friends and family. And it is not a stereotype, a caricature. It's not a cartoon, okay? When you wear a piece of someone's ethnicity or culture or heritage, you do not automatically develop an accent. Put simply, appreciation is adopting a specific culture's influence. Okay, examples, right? Those of you who don't know, I used to live in Japan. A prominent portion of the period of, growing up and becoming like a more aware person was done in Japan. So a lot of that heritage and culture stuck with me. If you come into my house, you will see that my tablecloth or my placemats are Japanese, and I have a lot of different sets of chopsticks that I still eat with to this day. In fact, I still use a ton of these. Like, I have a million different fans. And the fact that I use a parasol while it's sunny outside, or in the summertime, I use a parasol to shield myself from the sun, are all things and characteristics that I developed while I was living in Japan. Even in next to my kitchen, I have if you go back and like see some of my vlogs, I have a Japanese geisha tapestry that I got from Okinawa. There are little aspects here and there throughout my house that are clearly identifiable that come from Japan. And that's what appreciation is. Appreciation is taking little aspects of a culture that you understand and that you want to learn more from, and you incorporate it into your everyday life. I don't do it as an aesthetic. I don't do it as a trend. My house has always been this way. I have always had these things. I've always done and had and owned certain Japanese things. Even the way that I have come to dress is influenced by the kawaii culture from Japan that I was introduced to as a young person. Like my knee-high socks and everything definitely was introduced to me by the Japanese. So that's what appreciation is. It's taking one small aspect of a culture that you are not using just to be popular, that you're not using just to be trendy or on point, that you enjoy and you have no problem taking unto yourself and presenting yourself in your everyday life that way. It is totally okay to adopt small aspects of a community that you are not a part of to appreciate it. And a lot of communities enjoy it. Most cultures around the world enjoy it when you love on their culture, when you appreciate your culture. When I was in Japan, I did a photo shoot with my aunt and my cousin where we were in full kimono. Now, I did have to go through the process. I was younger. There was a Japanese woman who took the time to show me how to properly put on the kimono, because there's different layers and there's procedures and there's different folds and methods that you have to do in order to wear it properly. I even learned how to do the tea serving ceremony. I learned a lot of different things. It's not just I was wearing it because it's aesthetic or anything. I learned about the culture and I learned how to properly appreciate and represent that culture. And as I said, most people have no problem if you want to partake in their culture. They want you to see their culture as beautiful. Now, let's get into this part, because when I did do the pictures of me and my aunt and everything, and obviously I'm very young, but I did it in a kimono. Do you see what I didn't do? We did not paint our faces white. We did not change our eye shape to appear more Asian. I didn't so much as change my hair, which I had natural twists in. Like, I didn't do anything. When you see this photo of me in a kimono, it is a picture of Devana, a Black woman in a kimono. I am under no circumstances attempting to look more Asian or more Japanese. It looks like me appropriately wearing a kimono. I did not change any aspect of who I am as a person to partake in this photo. And this is where the problem comes in with cultural appropriation. Okay, this is what people just don't seem to get. They think, oh my gosh, okay, I have to do this with the Black community. When people try to appreciate Black culture, for whatever reason, they feel like they have to change aspects of who they are as a person. When people appropriate Black culture, they have to adopt a Black accent. They have to start speaking in AAVE that they don't say properly. They have to darken their skin. They have to be more ghetto. They have to listen to rap music. That's the issue. That's not appreciation. That's appropriation. Not only is it appropriation, you're making fun of us because you're adopting a stereotype, a caricature of what you think Black people are, and that is insulting. Why does adopting something from the Black culture suddenly force you to speak a certain way? Why does adopting something from the Black culture make you have to change something about who you are? Like, that's the problem. Ooh, and this is what upsets me, because people are like, oh, she grew up around the Black community, that's why she speaks with an accent. Do you hear me speaking with a Japanese accent? So then that is not an excuse. It really is just not an excuse. When people appropriate from the Black community, it's not because they enjoy the Black community, that they're trying to learn from the Black community, that they are connected or understand the Black community. They are doing it for the aesthetic. They're doing it for the trend. Because when y'all want to wear box braids, because everybody's like, oh, I think box braids are beautiful, I think box braids are beautiful, wear it to your best friend's wedding. Wear it to work. Wear it to school. You want to speak with AAVE? Talk to your mother that way. Because, and this, another thing that pisses off the Black community, people use AAVE. The way that a lot of Black people talk naturally, sometimes you guys see me slip in and out of my AAVE, but people appropriate AAVE only to be funny, only to be humorous, when this is how a lot of Black people speak in their everyday lives. There's nothing funny about the way we speak, but if you're using it only for humorous purposes, that means you're using our speech simply to be laughed at, because it's a joke to you.
그래서 그냥 영어로 하면 What you talking about? 그냥 이렇게 얘기하면 되잖아요. 근데 이제 흑인들 Hey, what you talking about, man? I don't know what you talking about. 약간 이런 거.
약간 연구를 했구나. 흑인들이 어떻게 쓰는지.
My big side
지금 흉내를 잘 낸다.
During a radio show, Wendy mocked both Black women and Black men in an acting Black shtick.
No, you ain't talking to me. 남자분들은
네.
흑인 약간 남성
네.
갱스터처럼 약간 이런 분들은 좀 What up? What? You wanna go, man? You wanna go?
Despite receiving backlash, Wendy did it again a few years later, this time only mocking Black women. Mind you, Wendy lived in Canada from age 10 to 18.
Like I said, when I have aspects of Japanese culture around me and in my house, I do not have a Japanese accent. I do not suddenly start saying Japanese words. I don't cut my hair into like, I don't know, the China doll bob and start doing like peace sign fingers. That's mocking behavior. Another very important topic, part of this discussion that I feel like everybody just glosses over, is the fact that there are certain aspects of different communities that outsiders are not allowed to touch, period. You cannot touch it no matter what your excuse. There is no such thing as I'm trying to appreciate the culture. Certain aspects of certain cultures are not to be touched by outsiders, and you have to accept that. A beautiful example of this is the Native American headdress. There is absolutely no context in which an outsider should be donning a Native American headdress for any reason. Period. You should not have it on your head. It is a very important cultural symbol, and you cannot use that cultural symbol outside of its cultural meaning or historical context. Because no matter how you may mean it to be interpreted, you're claiming ownership of the symbol for yourself by detaching it from its original historical context and meaning, simultaneously erasing its cultural significance. The special significance of the Native American headdress makes it off limits to cultural outsiders. The same thing could be said for the Star of David. Christians could complain and say, well, the Christian cross is used in everyday, life. They use it as a fashion trend. People just get tattoos of it without being Christian or Catholic in any way. Hell, atheists even mess with it. It's a fashion statement. The Christian cross is a part of the mainstream. The Star of David is not. And it has a painful history and still draws negativity towards the Jewish community. The Christian/Catholic cross is not on the same playing field as the Star of David. One is marginalized and one is not. And yes, I am understanding in certain communities, the Christians are the minority and the Muslims may be the majority, or vice versa, the Jewish may be the majority. I get it's different in other countries, but we're using examples here. In the United States, the cross is mainstream. The Star of David is not. And I'm drawing on these examples to say this. You cannot use marginalized aspects of a marginalized culture because you automatically benefit from those cultural aspects in a way the Native people cannot. Case in point. Black people in their hair. Yes, blah, blah, blah. I know you guys think it's pretty. I know you guys think it's blah, 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 whatever. I get it, but Black people are still marginalized simply for how they look. One of the most prominent aspects of backlash that we get is our hair. And before you guys even try me with the, oh, but you have white hair, please, colonizer behavior. Black people can't have white hair. Okay, grandmas. Anyways, Black people are still marginalized for how our hair is naturally. We have people kicked out of jobs. We have people kicked out of school, just made fun of, like, period. We get made fun of for our hair. And most of the time people are attempting to appropriate black hairstyles, which is like Fulani braids and box braids. And I'm not saying, oh, black people own all of braids. Obviously we don't. Hello, French braids and Dutch braids. But there are certain styles of braids that belong to the black community, just like there are certain styles of shoes that belong to the Dutch. Like, can we just get some sense here? And the black community is not the only community that has specific hairstyles specific to their culture. Like, can you guys please just become a little bit more cultured? Just please. Because most of the time, people are wearing black hairstyles for the aesthetic, for the trend. You're wearing it for the moment, because the moment that it wasn't trendy or it's not popular, you're not gonna wear your hair like that. You haven't been wearing your hair in box braids your entire life like I have. My hair was in box braids up until high school. And then I finally was just like, well, let's experience life without it. Like, that was a part of my life. It's not just a style. And having braids in a black community is not just a hairstyle, it's a ritual. It's an actual ritual, which black people, I know maybe you didn't realize, but when a black person, a black woman, even a black man, they get braids too. When y'all get your hair, done, it is a ritual. There's a process where you have to sit down and you got to go through the combing out process. And usually most of the time it's a community event where you have about 5 people around you sitting in somebody's kitchen talking about Lord knows what happened in the community, or what Sarah done did down the street, what happened at the corner store the other day. Like, we don't, black people don't typically realize it, but it's a ritualistic type of deal. The methodology behind the parting and dividing of the sections and the process and like the skills that it takes, the hours that it takes to sit in that chair. Braids is a painful, long process. But most of you don't know that because you don't know any better. You guys just want to do the style. Also, braids is specifically for a specific type of hair. It's to protect our hair from damage. And most of the time, I'm just letting you know as a good friend, if you have Caucasian type hair, braids it's not good for you. It's not good for your hair, and I'm just letting you know. But there are memories attached to that process that even I have of getting my hair done between Sandra's legs as a child, getting my head slapped around and stuff. Like, it's a cultural thing. If you go to any type of shop where they're doing braids, you'll see a congregation of people around talking and helping and sitting, and it's a cultural thing. And for God's sakes, everybody in the comments section who's saying we have the right to do what we want to do with our hair, shut up! You're embarrassing yourself, but I will say you are making your ancestors proud. Feeling entitled to these aspects of someone's culture is premium colonizer behavior. Your ancestors would be proud. The fact that some of you or some people get very upset that somebody has the audacity to tell them no, you cannot step on or mess with my heritage, and people have the audacity to get upset about that, is colonizer behavior. You do not have the right to ownership of somebody else's culture. And just because you have the ability to take something doesn't mean that you should. I mean, you could, honestly. You can snatch any culture that you want, but that's colonizer behavior. And I want you to understand that. You have the right to do whatever you want with your body, hair, dress, trash, whatever culture you want. But don't be mad when people call you a colonizer for it, because you feel that's entitled. You're acting entitled to something that doesn't belong to you. And a lot of people don't even want to recognize that it doesn't belong to them.
Blackpink. For the Kill This Love video, Lisa wore yarn braids. Blinks, the Blackpink fandom, tried to defend this appropriation by saying the braids were a part of Thai culture, referencing Khao San Road. Due to the amount of traffic from foreigners, the street is a melting pot of cultures. For example, on the street they have an Italian pizzeria, Israeli restaurant, Thai food vendors of course, an Indian cuisine restaurant, and a Starbucks. Another thing you can do on Khao San Road is get your hair done in braids, cornrows, locks, and other black hairstyles. You can't find these hairstyles in Thai culture aside from Khao San Road because they do not originate from Thailand. It's unfortunate the amount of blatant lying and gaslighting of black people K-pop stans are willing to do to defend the indefensible when it comes to their faves explicitly appropriating black culture.
And it pisses off a lot of cultures, but I'll speak to black people specifically. Hello, Black History Month. It pisses off black people because when members of the dominant society attempt to steal from us, they're doing it in an attempt to be better than us. That's what pisses us off. You're stealing our looks, our styles, our dress, our music because you want to get praise, because you want to continue to be the upper echelon of the dominant society while using the stuff from the minorities so that you can continue to be better than the minorities. The unique backhand that Black people are forced to continuously tolerate is visually observing outsiders, non-Black people, using Black culture as an aesthetic of beauty, but continuing to exclude Black people. White people are hailed, but Black people are never invited to partake in the praise. Our beauty, our aesthetic, is allowed to benefit you, but not us. It shouldn't be difficult to empathize with the pain my culture must feel watching people who frequently and regularly demean our people use our culture to benefit themselves, knowing that they love everything about us except us.
Taeyong used an app to face swap with Kanye West and wish his followers a happy Monkey New Year.
Happy Monkey New Year. Huh? Huh? Ah!
In California, there is currently legislation attempting to be passed called the Crown Act. This prohibits any form of discrimination based on hair type, texture, or style. Because no matter how many people in the comments section may say I'm making it up, no matter how many people in the world want to trivialize Black voices or experiences, this is a real problem. If you want to support Black culture, you have to support Black people. Otherwise, you have no right to partake in it at all. So like I said, this is the difference between appreciation and appropriation. You can appreciate Black culture, but number one, make sure that you are ready to become at least an ally of the Black community, that you're willing to understand and take into your world aspects of the Black community. You cannot be a bystander when it comes to the Black community. If you're going to take aspects, like, you need to become an ally. You need to at some point be a part or an ally of the Black community. Whatever cultural aspects you're attempting to adopt, you have to be prepared to not just wear them for aesthetic, trendy reasons. You have to be able to incorporate them in your everyday life in front of your friends, family, or whatever. You can't be embarrassed by what you're adopting. Because like I said, wearing something purely for aesthetic or trendy reasons erases the history and meaning of what you're taking and transfers ownership to people outside of the culture, which feels very unfair. So let's just do a checklist. If you want to appreciate a culture, number one, learn about the culture. Learn about what it is you're attempting to appreciate, whether it be a clothing style or whatever. Make sure you understand the context and you use it properly. Make sure you're not just utilizing it for aesthetic purposes to be trendy. This isn't just going to be some momentary thing that you do because you're going to Coachella, because you're going to Burning Man. No. This has to be something that you are willing to do in your everyday life. If you're not willing to wear it in front of your best friend, your husband, your mother, it's appropriation. You should not be changing any aspect of who you are as a person, not the way you speak, your skin tone, nothing. Whatever you're taking to appreciate should be simply an additive to who you are as a person and should require no actual change of your personality or your being. Do not, under any circumstances, attempt to appreciate something that is a marginalized aspect of a marginalized community. Examples we ran through: Native American headdress, don't do it, off limits. Religious symbols, songs, for God's sakes, don't mess with the Bible or the Quran. Not only is that appropriation, it's horribly disrespectful. AAVE, stop using it. Just stop using it. You're not using it right. I promise you, you're not using it right. I promise you, you're not using it right. And just take it as a friendly note from me. I'm saving you. Don't use African American vernacular. Okay? Just don't. Stop it. Oh my God, stop. TikTokers, please. Like I said, you do not see me sitting here with a Japanese accent. That is not a valid reasoning. Stop it. Other than that, Go forth, explore, and learn from other cultures, okay? Really put the work in so that you truly understand the richness of the different worlds around you. Like, there is a lot to be gained, trust me, okay? Asian people has my skin on fleek, like, forever. Thank you, Koreans. I can't even say it was the Japanese, it was the Koreans that I met in Japan. Like, you guys put my skin on gloss. I am glowing, sis is beaming. There is so much knowledge out there to be gained by others if you simply just expand your horizons, and I don't want people to be afraid to do so. It's totally okay to step into an environment that maybe puts you a little bit outside of your comfort zone. Honestly, I really encourage learning from other cultures, which is why this channel is such a diverse field of people. Like, do you guys understand what we have in this court? I live in a country heavily influenced by Europeans, specifically the English and the French, but I am a Black American person that grew up in Japan. Like, the diversity in this court is amazing, and I love it, and I want that here. And in the future, you may see different aspects of influence from different cultures here on the channel. I apologize, Latin Americans. I like, of all the different cultures in the world, I have the least bit knowledge of the Latin American cultures. I am so sorry, but I'm going to learn. But when it comes to like Asian influence, you definitely will see it on the channel because that's where I am influenced the most. But being that I am blessed to have such a diverse court here, I want everyone to feel recognized, and I want to bring some of that here on the channel so that you see your influence. Know that everybody is welcome. In the comment section below, I have no idea how long this video is. If it's super long, I am sorry, but it's an important conversation to have because I'm so tired of seeing people step on each other's cultures. It's not just the Black community, the poor Asian community, like, you guys, oh God. The sexualization, the fetishization of Asian women, like, gross. But in the comment section below, let me know your thoughts. If you see any colonizers down there, you know, tell them to take their Columbus ship right back to where they came from. I just don't care what you have to say. But let me know what the rest of you think of the situation. Have you seen any horrendous examples of appropriation from your culture that just drove you insane? Maybe you want to leave some thoughts for other people, some rules for them to follow, maybe something I didn't mention here. If you are a member of the dominant society and you have any legitimate questions, like you're like, hey, question, you're totally fine. Leave a question and I will make sure it is answered sincerely. You do not need to be afraid. Like I said, everyone is welcome here. And even if you feel like it's a stupid question, like, I will still answer it. I understand even things that may be considered basic. Not everybody knows. It's fine. I'll let you know. Also, I know I need to do a video about appropriation versus assimilation because there's people in the comment section right now, I guarantee you, who didn't make it to the end of the video. And they're just like, but Black women wear weaves, as if y'all didn't force us to do so. Really? Look, the AAVE coming right out because you like, really? Y'all about to put that in my comment section? Yeah, I gotta do that video because I know they're gonna try me. But in the meantime, make sure you give the video a thumbs up. Did you guys catch that code switch? Oh, code switch, yes. I shouldn't have to do that, to be honest, but whatever. Make sure you give the video a thumbs up. And remember, I love you and I will miss you, but I will be back in a future video. Bye.